Welcome to the CDG BizCast. I'm your host, Christian Gonzales, co-owner of Creativity Design Group, a digital marketing firm in Houston, Texas. Joining me today for this episode is my good friend and consumer panelist from the United Kingdom, Sara Russell. In this episode of the CDG BizCast, we are going to be talking about a sales practice that your business might possibly be engaging in that is making your customer base angry. In fact, you are most likely losing leads because of this practice. I'm talking about cold calling. Think about your consumers. Do they want to get an unsolicited call from a company selling product that they are most likely not interested in buying? Probably not. In fact, they're probably annoyed that you even called them out of the blue, and they probably want to know who you even got their phone number in the first place. Cold calling is an extremely rude and, in my opinion, unprofessional practice that many businesses these days should not be engaging in. It is an antiquated method of obtaining leads that most likely is not effective anymore, as it was several years ago. Now that we have social media and pay-per-click ads and other forms of online advertising, I consider cold calling to be in the same leagues as newspaper this day and age. There's no reason to do it. When you call somebody out of the blue who was not expecting your call, chances are you've made them extremely angry because you've called them right when they're in the middle of doing something. If they're at work, they don't want to have to take your call while they're in the middle of their work activities. If they're out with family, these people want to be out having fun. They don't want to talk to you about a product that you're selling that they most likely have zero interest in. This is a practice that I am 100% against. We don't do it here at CDG, and I've always found it rude. Many consumers find it rude, annoying, and many people just download call blocking apps to make sure that your number gets blocked the next time you try to call them. Now I'm going to pass the mic over to you, Sara. Welcome to the show once again. Please tell me about an experience that you've had with an extremely rude, unsolicited cold call that you were not expecting, how it impacted your plans for the day due to the call being unexpected and you having no interest in it. How did you feel when this person called you, and how did you handle it?
Hello, Christian. Welcome. Thank you for having me on the show. Yeah, cold calling is the biggest bugbear of many people's lives. You're in the middle of doing whatever, as you said before. You could be out for a family dinner. You could be at the doctor's, the dentist. You could be anywhere at all. You could be driving, and you get these people just call you out of the blue. And their first words are always, "Oh, hello, madam. How are you today?" And you say, "Well, I was okay until you phoned me," because you know what's coming up. You know it's going to be a dodgy call. You know it's going to be someone trying to sell you something or someone trying to scam you. So you have to be on your guard, whoever it is. So the ones I hate are from telephone companies at O2. I am a member of O2. But O2, as we all know, they don't phone you out of the blue, offering you different sort of offers and bargains and things out the blue without you phoning them first or contacting them. So they're always people from another country as well. They're always either, no offense to the Indian people, but they're often got Indian accents. So you know they're not from this country because you can hear all the hustle and bustle. And we all know about scam call centres and things like that. That's where they're based. So I had one probably about 3 weeks ago, I think. One of many. Hello, madam. Hello. How are you today? Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. I thought, well, I'll play along. So he says to me, he says, this is O2. I said, is it? Yes, it is. I said, all right. He said, well, I want to sell you something. I said, no, you don't. I said, you just want to scam me out of whatever. I said, I'm not interested. Yes, you will be interested. Can you listen to what I'm saying? I said, no, I'm not listening to what you're saying because I know you're going to be trying to scam me. So he was going on and on and on, would not let me speak. So I just thought, well, I'll just listen. So I listened up to a point because he was just reading off a script about how this is going to be so good. It's going to save me loads of money, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to have to do anything, on and on and on and on. In the end, I said, I cannot listen to this crap anymore. And I just put the phone down. Immediately, they phoned me back again and said, I think we got cut off. No, I cut you off because you're getting on my nerves. And then he started screaming and shouting at me down the phone. And I just kept cutting him off. In the end, I had to block the number. And we all know it's probably a spoofed number, but I had to block it anyway. So that was annoying and extremely bugbearing because I was just going to go to the doctors and have some jabs. So I really didn't need that. And what else? I've got another one. That one was telling me that I had an accident. So they phoned up and told me I've had an accident. I said, have I? Yeah, you had an accident. And they reeled off a date. And I said, oh. I said, where was I? So they said Birmingham. I've not been to Birmingham, not for years, actually. So anyway, because that was straight away, I knew that was a scam and I knew I hadn't had an accident. So again, it was just a brief one, that one though. So I literally said, look, I don't know where you got my number from or why you're phoning me about an accident. But I haven't been in an accident. Anyway, so I just held that one up. But I just find them all very pushy. They're always trying to get you to buy the products and making the offer too good to be true. In the end, because you know what's happening and the scams and everything around, you think, I just can't be bothered to listen to anyone. Even if they're genuine, I can't be bothered to listen to them now. And as you said, they always phone you when you're busy, when you're in the doctors, as I said before, and then I just keep saying to them, how'd you get my number? They never reply. They never tell me how they got my number. And then they pressure sell you as well. They tell you it's a real product and they're not scammers, which they are. I'm not a scammer, madam. I'm not a scammer, madam. But it's all extremely annoying and bugbearing. It just makes me too annoyed. I don't know what you think about that, Christian.
It definitely reminds me of what we talked about several episodes ago in our CDG BizCast episode titled Salespeople Stop Being Rude to Your Customers. And we covered how pushy sales tactics are just incredibly rude and they scare away your potential customers. And that's basically what happened here, but with a much more sinister twist. For one thing, if they have to tell you up front without you even asking, oh, we're not a scammer, oh, this is a real product, chances are you're talking to a scammer. But in general, whether you're talking to a scammer or just an extremely pushy salesperson in general, we don't want to deal with these calls. We don't want to deal with it. I hate dealing with these calls. Quite commonly, on my own business line, the main phone number for Creativity Design Group, the one that we have publicly listed on all our directory listings on our websites, on our business card, the phone number that we specifically have for business inquiries, that line gets flooded every day with spam calls. I'm usually getting some sort of shady robocall, usually pushing some sort of COVID or tax relief scam. I'm usually getting some sort of hang-up call where Nobody answers when I pick it up, and then the call disconnects just seconds later. And then there are the sales calls, and I'm always able to identify these very easily. When I answer the phone, I do my usual greeting. Good afternoon, good morning, Creativity Design Group. How can I help you? The person on the other line will say, hello, I'm looking to speak to the owner. That's a sign right there that that is a spam call, that they're just trying to sell you some service that you don't want. If they're asking for, quote, the owner and not for somebody who works at the company by name, that means they don't know you. That means that they are hoping to get in touch with somebody in management so they can try to sell you something. And I get all sorts of crazy phone calls every day. A lot of times it's companies trying to ask us to outsource all of our work to some company I've never heard of. And why would we want to outsource all of our web or graphic design work to a company I've never heard of? Especially if we can handle it all ourselves. It doesn't make any sense for us to give a good chunk of our money to another company when we can have 100% of it doing it all ourselves. We don't need to outsource. We don't need help. And on our website, if you go to creativitydesignGroup.com, we have 2 contact forms, one at the bottom of the home page and one on the contact page. Both contact forms are clearly labeled. We have a message there that says that these contact forms are for business inquiries only. They are not for you to contact us to try to sell us unsolicited products. If anyone who is trying to cold call us with unsolicited services happens to be listening to this episode, just letting you know up front, we do not need any assistance with any of the projects we're working on right now. We have all the help we need right now to take care of all the web and graphic design work. We do not need digitizing services. We do not need SEO services or anything of that nature. We don't need any janitorial services. We get a lot of calls from people asking us about janitorial services. Our buildings management already has that taken care of. And we often get calls from electric companies trying to sell us an electricity plan. Again, we don't need it. Our landlord takes care of the electricity at our office. Please do not contact us about these services. We're not interested. We're not going to entertain your calls. And after you call us, we're just going to block your number. If you email us, we are going to send your email messages straight to spam. So that way, if they try to come in again, they get sent to spam. We do not need any products. I hate these calls because, for one thing, they disrupt our workflow. If I'm in the middle of working on something and I get this call, I have to answer the call because it could be a possible lead coming in. If it's a lead, I don't want to miss out on a potential business opportunity. When I find out that it is from a company trying to sell us an unsolicited service once again, such as one of the ones I just mentioned, honestly, it just annoys me. I was in the middle of working on something very important. I dropped what I was doing, and I dropped it just to take a call from a salesperson who was trying to sell us something that we're not interested in. This has happened numerous times. My workflow gets severely disrupted because I have to drop what I'm doing to take this call. I don't know who it could be. It could be a possible lead. I don't want to potentially miss out on a business opportunity. When I find out that it's one of these sales calls, usually trying to push one of the services that I just mentioned, I'm upset. I was working on something extremely important for a paying client, or it could have been something that was important for the business management, and I dropped it just because one of y'all decided to call me and waste my time. It says on our website, right next to the contact form, do not call us for unsolicited services. But yet you still went and did it anyway. You are breaking business etiquette when you do that. You are not respecting the fact that we do not want to take your call. We do not have any interest in any of those products or services we're selling, and you choose to call us anyway. That's rude. That's disrespectful. That is showing that y'all have no respect for who you're calling. Y'all are just interested in trying to land a sale. I know, in the sales world, things can be very pushy. And that's why I did a whole podcast episode last summer talking about how salespeople can often be rude because they are very pushy and they just don't listen to their customers, or they do not listen to the people they're harassing right after they tell them that they're not interested in your services or products. When they say no, you got to respect that. No means no. We are not interested in any of these services. If we were interested in buying your products or services, guess what? We would be calling you. But since we are not interested in anything that you're selling, that's why you never hear from us. That's why we're not calling you. We're not interested. Don't call us expecting that we are going to be interested. It is rude, and we don't want to deal with it. Us business owners have a lot to do during the day. We have a lot to take care of. We are often on the road. We are often out of the office. We have very important meetings with clients that involve top dollar projects, time sensitive projects. We don't have time for this.
I don't think anyone has time for that, Christian, do they really?
Absolutely not. Can you think of one person who has ever taken a cold call seriously? Can you think of one person who's actually bought something from a cold call?
No. My sister did that. She was scammed. They told her about a warranty on a washing machine and a fridge freezer. Turns out that the company didn't exist. I said to her, never do that. When people cold call, she managed to get her money back from the bank, but that's not the point. It was a cold call. She thought it was a real one, gave her a card. She had to cancel all her cards because they had all her details, everything. So the bank said, in other words, you were stupid, which she didn't know. She thought they were so convincing, which we know they can be. But yeah, she got scammed. I think it was about 80 odd quid or something. But she did actually get it back, as I say. So she was lucky. But she does keep taking these calls still from cold callers. And I just keep telling her, don't, because you've been scammed once. You're an easy target now. They're going to scam you again. And it'll be different things. So they are out there and people are falling for them, unfortunately. You've just got to be vigilant.
That's correct. Being vigilant is important. Screen every call you get coming in if it's from a number that you don't know. If you're on Android, you can download the Hiya app, that's spelled Hiya, and it will allow you to block any numbers you want, and it even has a strict call filter that will block out potential fraudulent callers. Now, not every company who cold calls is a scam company. The problem with cold calling is that many people find it rude and annoying, and if you are running a legitimate company and you have cold calling as part of your sales strategy, chances are you are making yourself look suspicious. Even if your company's legitimate, engaging in this practice of cold calling puts you in the same category as scammers in the mindsets of your potential leads. Most people hang up on cold calls, not only because they're not interested in what you're selling, but also because they find them suspicious. Many people find unsolicited calls from companies they've never heard of to begin with as suspicious. I find them suspicious. I don't trust cold calls at all. I don't care who they're from. We don't have time for any of your nonsense. If we wanted your product, we would look you up and buy your product. We would be calling you. We would be emailing you telling you that we're interested in buying it. But if we're not calling you, there's a really good chance that we are not interested in purchasing it. So you don't need to call boatloads of people. People have things to do during the day and they don't have time to entertain your sales tactics. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, cold calling is antiquated. We have other ways of obtaining leads now that are more professional and less intrusive. Buy some pay-per-click ad on Google and Facebook. Or look into your website, your social media strategy, your search engine optimization strategy, of course, and work on getting your company some publicity. Notice how these methods do not involve bothering people. When you're serving your ad out to people, or you're just simply talking about it on your website, at least there is no hard selling involved. If they're not interested, they leave your website or they scroll past your ad and they move on. Never have somebody who's incredibly pushy, who will not take no for an answer, be the face of your company. That's just going to damage the image of your company. Whether it's for a scam or for a product that just isn't that great and they shouldn't waste their money buying, people know these things. People are not stupid. They look up reviews. They'll reverse search the number that you called them from to see who it belongs to. They don't have the time or patience to entertain your call. If they think you're suspicious, they're going to block your number and they're probably going to tell all their friends to watch out too. You could be selling an extremely legitimate product. You might even have a great product on your hand. You might have stellar services. You could offer the best services in the world. But if you are bothering random strangers with cold calls, you're missing out on a lot of potential business opportunities right there. They're not going to be interested in your product. They're going to feel annoyed and angry, and they're not going to ever want to talk to you ever again. They are going to spread the word that your company is terrible. Companies who cold call endlessly have a terrible image for all these reasons. You are being rude when you try to call random people trying to sell your products. I know I keep repeating this over and over again. I've said it many times already, but I can't stop stressing the importance of this. Cold calling is rude. You are being intrusive when you call up random people. You're being intrusive when they have to drop everything they're doing to entertain your call. Work on your marketing strategy better and use some more modern, less intrusive methods of marketing your products and services. There are ways of doing it. I've given you several examples. Don't bother people who are not interested in buying your stuff with unwanted calls. There's no way I'm going to be able to say that any easier than that. It's rude, it's annoying, and most people are sick of hearing it. We have call blocking apps for this reason. If they say no, if your customer says no, accept it and move on. Do not, I repeat, do not call them back numerous times, harassing them, begging them to give your company a chance. Don't do that. That just looks desperate and unprofessional. You already look unprofessional enough giving them these calls. Now, if you're harassing them, you're just making that lead even more angry now and even more compelled to stay away from your company in general. Now, tell me, how is that going to help you in terms of sales, right? In fact, you're just hurting your own image doing that. Don't utilize the tactics that Sara just described with her cold caller. She already told him once she was not interested, and the caller continued to call her back numerous times after she said no. You got to understand that no means no. Do not allow greed to drive you into harassing somebody that you don't even know, for one thing. Somebody that you do not even know, who's already made it loud and clear that they are not interested in buying your services. You don't need to continue to bother them. Don't bother them. You're ruining your company's image. At that point, when you continue to call them back endlessly, you're just being more than rude. You're just being downright inconsiderate and ignorant. On my office line, if I see names of certain companies that I recognize and know are trying to cold sell us services, I do not answer the phone. I already know which numbers specifically are not business leads for CDG, but are spam callers trying to sell us their services for outsourcing and other services that we are not interested in at this time. Guess what? I've added your numbers to my phone's block list. If you try to call back again, it's not going to go through. That line is for colleagues, vendors, certain business-related contacts, and of course, new and existing customers only. It is not for you to call us and try to sell us services that we are not interested in. We've made it clear on our website. The fact that you do not read our website and continue to try to harass us is rude.
Yeah, there's a saying, isn't there? Don't call me, I'll call you.
That's exactly right. Whenever I need a certain service for Creativity Design Group, I go on Google and I start looking up what's nearby in the area. If I get a call from you and I don't know who you are and you're trying to sell us services that we don't need, I'm not going to entertain it. We don't just do business with anybody. We do our due diligence when it comes to looking for vendors. We research. We look at reviews. We look at your services. We look at what you have to offer. We can't do that when you're cold calling us. Consumers who are listening, when you get a cold call and you're not sure if it was legitimate or not, you can always do a reverse search on Google and see what comes up. Oftentimes, there are websites that will show what other people have reported on that number, what the callers have told them. If it was a scam number, if it was just a call that was a waste of time. Don't just assume the person who is calling you has good intentions. Even if they are running a legitimate company, you as a consumer should always research every company that you consider doing business with. Never let the caller goad you into buying something just because they were being pushy. If you feel they're being pushy, it's okay to say no and tell them that you're not ready to purchase yet. You want to research. Tell them that you will not just make a quick decision just like that. You are going to research the company and their products and first of all decide if you really even need to buy these products. Salespeople are going to tell you, yes, you do need to buy them. They're never going to tell you, no, have a nice day, you don't need our products. They're always going to try to get around your excuses to sell you what they're selling. That's the sad truth. They don't accept no for an answer. We've talked about this in Salespeople Stop Being Rude to Your Customers. I highly recommend that you check that episode out if you have not heard it yet. It's important to check out every little detail that you can before you do business with them. Never allow a salesperson to just simply convince you that you need to buy their product like your life depends on it. Because guess what? It doesn't. And your bank account certainly doesn't need it either. You get to decide how you're going to spend your money. Never allow a salesperson to dictate this.
Yeah, they could be the friendliest person, but don't believe what they're saying. Really don't believe them. Don't fall in the trap of thinking, oh dear, they're so honest, I need to buy from them. You don't need what they're selling. You will investigate. You will look for the people that the product you want. You don't need people calling you and telling you you need it. As you said, Christian, you don't need it. You want that product. You research it yourself. You just don't need it. You fall in the trap of being, scammed again, and turns out they keep phoning you over and over again because unfortunately, once you've answered the phone to one of the cold callers, your name's down that you are a person who actually will pick up the phone. So they will just keep phoning you with different offers. Probably the same scam in place or the same place, but they'll just keep calling you because they've got your number and they have you down as oh yes, they're going to pick it up because you pick the phone up every time. Watch out, they spoof the numbers. They look in the UK, they look like UK mobile numbers. They look like numbers from London. Don't answer those ones because you'll find that they are not from this country anyway. You've got numbers from all over the place. Also, they do private withheld numbers as well now, cold callers. So you can't actually block the number because they're private withheld numbers. So just watch for the numbers. Just be vigilant. Look after yourself. Look after the others. Look after your family. Make sure they're okay. Especially if they're elderly. Don't let them fall into the trap of picking it up and giving credit cards details over the phone to cold callers. It's not a good idea.
If you're getting calls from private numbers, my best safety tip for you would be to not answer those calls. If they're private, chances are they have some extremely malicious intentions. If they didn't want to be suspicious, they would allow their number to show. Never entertain private numbers. One question I have for you, Sarah, is have you ever received a cold call from a company in the United States or anywhere in North America?
I haven't actually, not at all. They ours all in the UK all seem to be like Asia, that sort of way. So sort of like, unfortunately, like Indian accents and things. Some of them are Indian, but they put on an accent that sounds a bit American. But I personally haven't had any cold calls from anyone in America or with an American accent. That's not to say it doesn't happen. It's just over here. I've not personally received any calls like that.
Yes, the reason why I asked is because I was curious if companies were cold calling internationally to other nations. But let's go ahead and change topics now. So we've talked about cold calling. Let's go ahead and get ready to end the show and talk about cold emailing, which is basically the exact same thing, but instead of receiving unsolicited calls for products and services that we don't want, we're getting emails, and endless ones too. They email you more than once just to see if you'll bite or not. Have you ever received any unsolicited emails trying to sell you a product that you had no interest in buying? And were they persistent? Did they spam your email box hoping that you would give in and answer them?
Yeah. Funny you should say that. Today, actually, I've had 73 things in junk mail. And I would say probably about half of those were the gambling places. And I get a lot of junk emails with all sorts of things on, from soaps to all sorts of things, pictures, picture frames, things like that. But most of them, it's gambling. It's like probably out of the 73 I had today, probably I would say 53 of those or more were about gambling. So somehow they get your email address off of sites that you've searched on Google or Facebook, Instagram, any of the social media sites. They obviously think that you're going to the bait. Most of them are from the same email address, which is quite random and unbelievable. But yeah, that's mainly what I get, those ones. I don't normally have many going in my normal email. It gets filtered out, so I don't really get anything too extravagant in the normal email, usually just my normal one. I mean, I might get Boots come up or Tesco's or something like that, which are companies over here saying, oh, go on the site, we've got offers. So I might, if I think, oh, I'll have a look. But then I could go in the shops, it's easier. But yeah, if you wanted to, you could go on the sites. But just check that the email address is proper one and not just a Gmail one or a .com one. More likely be a scam like that. Yeah, I don't get anything too much, but I'm not a business. I'm just like a personal account. So
for one thing, it's important to remember to send all these emails to spam every time you get them, because the more you send them to spam as they come in, Google or whoever your email provider is will start to notice that is the type of email that you're constantly sending to spam, and it'll just flag it automatically regardless of where it's coming from. And secondly, It's always important to check the email addresses. You're right. I often get a lot of spam email from companies trying to sell us web design services, digital marketing services, and other sorts of business services. And these emails always come from @gmail, @yahoo.com addresses. Now, here's the thing. When they send us these emails, that shows that they don't even know what our company is. They're trying to get us to pay them to do services that we already do ourselves. Why in the world would we do that, right? Why would we pay another company to do the services that we perform ourselves for our clients? Surely we can perform the services we perform for our clients for ourselves, right? Like web design. If CDG needs a new website, I'm not going to send it over to another company. We've got a skilled web designer who already knows how to build websites here in-house. It doesn't make any sense that you try to email us this stuff. We're not interested. We can do all this stuff in-house. It especially doesn't make sense that you try to send us offers for services that we specialize in. That makes no sense that we would pay another company to do the services that we specialize in. It makes no sense at all. In fact, because I've had my business email address for so long, I've been sending a lot of emails to spam over the years, and I just never see them hit my inbox anymore because I've sent so many to spam. Gmail already recognizes exactly which emails I don't entertain, so if they come in, I never see them. They go to my spam box. My email box looks cleaner. We're not interested in unsolicited offers, and it doesn't matter if you're sending them to us by phone or by email. We are simply not interested. Just like with our phone, our email is for business inquiries only and for our vendors and other contacts that we work with. If we don't know you and you're trying to sell us something, we're not going to waste our time entertaining your emails, so it needs to stop. That's about as nice as I can put it. I've gotten several emails from different companies. There's one particular company that I will not mention by name, but they like to email me countless times using different people. They're a large company and they have different employees who are account managers there. When one fails to get through, they'll bring in somebody else. I never answer any other emails. The names often change on the emails because they're hoping that I will give in and get their services that I don't want to utilize. I'm going to say it now. I've utilized their services once a long time ago, and I realized that I wasted money and I canceled my contract with them. Several years later, they're still contacting me hoping that I will have a change of heart and sign up with them again. I lost money on you at least a few times before. Why would I sign up with you again? Because several years passed doesn't mean that I'm interested in doing it again. I just don't trust you anymore. I lost a lot of good advertising dollars on this company and I would never use them again. They need to stop emailing me. One time they even called me endlessly when I did not answer their calls. Well, here's what they did. They would call me using a number that showed the company's name on the caller ID. So when I did not answer those calls, one of their account executives would call using their personal number, and then I would answer assuming it was a possible client. So I told them I wasn't interested in their services, and then they continue to call me at that same number over and over again, and I recognize the person's name on the caller ID. That is not professional. I've already said no once. You don't need to keep calling me over and over again. You don't need to keep emailing me over and over again. No means no. I'm not going to entertain your call. I am not interested in doing business with your company because I lost money with your company in the past. I've explained this to you already. I'm not interested. Here's my final take on cold emailing. It's also rude and unprofessional. It's not as intrusive as cold calling because you don't have to stop what you're doing to read an email like you do with a phone call, but it's still rude and unprofessional. You're still contacting people that you don't know, trying to sell the world to them, and they're not interested. Engage in more professional marketing tactic. Drop these antiquated, rude methods of trying to obtain leads. I categorize cold calling especially in the same category as newspaper advertising and snail mail advertising. These are antiquated, outdated methods that worked a good 20, 30 years ago, but they do not work now. Remember all the methods that I mentioned. Put a focus on your website. Focus on your social media and your search engine optimization strategies. Look into your pay-per-click advertising. Go to networking events and meet new people who will be possibly interested in your services. But do not, I repeat, do not engage in cold calling. I will never stop saying it's rude. It's rude, it's disrespectful, it's inconsiderate, and you are angering and annoying the person that you're trying to sell to. You cannot expect to get any good business by making your potential leads angry. If they're angry, how can you expect that to convert to a sale? It's a no-brainer, right?
Exactly, Christian. No one needs that. My thing for cold callers is don't call me, I'll call you, but don't call me at all because you make me angry. And I'll just put the phone down on you. Or I'll scream at you. I'll call you all sorts of things as well. So just don't bother phoning me. Got no time for you.
And of course, don't forget to block.
Exactly. Block. Exactly. Block the number. And then they come back with a totally different number when you do that. It's very strange. They're very quick.
The only thing you can do is just block the numbers as they keep coming in, but don't entertain the call any more than you have to. We've all got busy lives. We don't want to be sold to. Like I said, if we want your products and your services, we will seek them out. We'll call you when we want them. If you're calling us, chances are we're not interested. So leave us alone, go away. And that's my final word.
Be vigilant, everyone. That's my final words. Be vigilant.
Yes, be vigilant. Inspect everything. Do your research, do your due diligence. Reverse search the phone number of the caller if it looks suspicious. Install an app that will screen for potential fraudulent calls. Look at your email headers and check to see who they're coming from. And it's also a red flag if you see a bunch of garbled alphabets and numbers in an email address. That you can automatically write off as a scam. And then, of course, if you do not feel safe or if you feel you're being sold to, hang up. Everybody does it. It's okay to hang up. You get to decide where you're going to spend your money. And if you feel that the company is being too unprofessional by bothering you in the middle of the day, you don't have to give them your business. So that's my final word. Be safe, be vigilant, and research every little detail, and never allow the caller or email to goad you into buying something, especially if you do not feel like you're ready. We don't cold call at CDG. We don't call up random businesses asking if they're interested in our services. If they want our services, they will come to us. We respect you. We will not call you out of the blue trying to sell you our digital marketing services. We would never do that to you. We're respectful of other business owners. We would never call you out of the blue and try to sell you what we have to offer. If you're interested, you can always call us. Our information is on our website, creativitydesignGroup.com. If you need our services, come and seek us out. But we're not going to bother you and harass you to buy our services. Thank you once again, Sara, for being on the show. You've provided a lot of great examples, and you were a great example yourself as a consumer who was annoyed with cold calls, and you saw how annoyed I get with cold calls on my business line. I wish you a great day. Be vigilant. Be safe out there.
Thank you, Christian. Take care.